A lot of guys transferred to the Air Force because they wanted to get out of the mud of the trenches, and they thought it would be safer, but actually, big spoiler for that, it wasn't safer, because the average life expectancy for the guys doing that job was about 3 weeks. You get to the squadron and you're lucky if you're still there by the end of the month. So there's kind of mixed reactions about this training. The mornings were early, like they had to get up usually about 3:45 in the morning to go flying, and then they had classes till usually about 10 o'clock at night. So they're trying to cycle these guys through essentially as fast as they can. And as well, they're flying an aircraft too called the Curtiss Jenny. Same thing that Fred McCall crashed on top of the carousel, and of course again a two-seater. One problem with that was instructors were far fewer than students. So what they did with this Jenny, when it would crash, it was always nose down because all the weight's in the front. So they would put the instructor in the back seat and put the students in the front seat. So when the thing crashed, the engine would come up through the fuselage, and like if it's going to crush somebody, crush the students, right? Because you got a whole bunch of students. Instructors are harder to find. So yeah. And the training as well was a little bit kind of sketchy. One of the students recalled in one of his journals that I was reading, he said it was one day after he'd soloed, the instructor walked up to him and said, "Okay, now go up and do a loop." And the student said, "Well, aren't you going to show me how?" And the instructor's like, "No, like shit, nobody showed me, just go up and do it." Yeah, so Captain McCall, of course, everybody's familiar with McCall Way and sort of the McCall places around Calgary. Really exceptional pilot from the First World War with 37 confirmed kills. And he actually had a bit of an altercation at the Calgary Stampede after the war, because he went on to become a barnstorming flyer. Of course, you know, the stunt flyers that would go around in the 20s with their aircraft and perform tricks and take people for rides. What happened actually is at the Stampede, I think it was 1927 Stampede, don't quote me on it, but he actually had to crash land his plane on top of the carousel, because the Jenny that he was flying at the time, it's a two-seater. It's got a seat in the front and seat in the back, and he was in the back and he had two young boys up at the front, and the boys got fooling with the controls and he kind of lost control of the thing, and of course it was coming down and he had to put it down someplace safe, and he looked down and saw the carousel and said, "I got to put it down there," so he did. What they did to kind of recoup the cost, of course, of the destroyed airplane is they took it, they put it in a tent, and sold parts from it for souvenirs for people.